So it'll start off with a series of videos. These videos will last about 40 to 45 minutes, and they cover all the aspects, or at least most of the aspects, of what a timekeeper does in Kronos.
How to find an employee in Kronos. For most people, the quickest way to find an employee in Kronos is from their dashboard to scroll down to their attendance board. This will show all the employees for whom they're responsible for as being a timekeeper or approver, or for whom they have access. From there, to see the employee's timesheet, click on either the pencil icon to open the current timesheet, or click on the paperclip icon. That will take you to a quick links area, from which you can also select the current timesheet, past timesheets, the employee's schedule, or to get the employee's bio and UKG, just simply click the employee's name. However, if you have a number of employees for whom you're responsible for keeping time for, then another way to find an employee is simply from the main dashboard, click the hamburger menu icon or 3 horizontal lines icon to the left of the UKG logo, and in the search box, type in the employee number of the person you're looking for. You will only have access to people for whom you're the timekeeper approver for, or for whom you have been granted access. You'll also see that recent searches still remain. So if you see your search results already there, just simply click on the employee's name to go to the bio, or to the quick links to go to their current timesheet or other options. However, in this example, we'll pretend that those recent searches aren't there. I'll type in the employee's number, and we'll see the employee appear. Now, naturally, a person will want to click their return key, but notice what happens if I click the return key. Nothing. So rather than do that, use your mouse to click on the actual name or the quick links, and from there you can get the information. Now, if you don't know the employee ID, you can also type in the first name or the last name. However, if you type in the first name and last name, it may not come up with the results, because oftentimes in Kronos it includes a middle initial that may or may not have a period after it. So that's how you find employees in Kronos. How to add a missed punch. If there is a missed punch, the employee will not get any credit for that day until or unless the missed punch is corrected. Anyone missing a punch will appear in the missing punches box on the dashboard. The default pay period selected is the most recent past pay period. So say, for example, it's Monday following a pay date. It will show the previous pay period which just ended on that previous Friday. So as a timekeeper, you might be cleaning up the missed punches on a Monday morning so that the approver is ready to approve them later that morning or later that day. If you want to see the missed punches for the current pay period, simply click on the drop-down box and select Current. In this example, there are no missed punches for the current pay period, and we're looking at the previous one, so I click back to that. To fix a missed punch listed, click the Open Timesheet icon, which is a pencil icon, next to the employee name. That will open up the timesheet. A missed punch on an employee's timesheet will have a light red box around it. In this example, the missed punch is the in punch on Tuesday, January 11th. Now in this example, I've received information from the employee in writing that they had a missed punch at 7 a.m. on Tuesday, January 11th. I enter that time, and then I click Save. You'll see now, for Tuesday, January 11th, there is a calculated total. Before, there was no calculated total. Please note that Kronos will correctly anticipate whether the missed punch should be AM or PM based on an employee's schedule. However, sometimes this is not the case, such as if an employee left very early for the day or came in very late. If you need to change from AM to PM or vice versa, simply click the AM or PM icon and it'll switch back and forth. In this example, I won't do that and save it because the time is actually correct. To note the reason for the missed punch, there's a reason code column in which you can select the reason. In this example, the employee lost her badge. Note, badge is lost. Then click Save. If there is any additional comments that you'd like to make, you can note that in the Notes column. Click on the Notes icon for that day and type in any additional notes. And then click Save. And then you're done. How to move an out punch to an in punch. Occasionally, a punch will appear in the wrong column. This is usually because of a missed punch. The example we're looking at here, on Tuesday, January 11th, the out punch seems clearly to be in the wrong area. It's in the from punch column. Now to get that corrected so that that out punch goes to the to column, simply click on the little clock icon. Now when I hover above that clock icon, it says change punch interpretation. So I click that and it moves right on over. From there, you can enter the punch in time that the employee has provided you at the reason code, and then click Save, and you're done. How to record an activity. Activities in Kronos can be a type of pay, such as staff development, or a function, such as converting time to comp time. Converting time to comp time is discussed in another video. Activities available for selection may depend on an employee's type of work. The timekeeper must enter most activities, but some activities may be recorded by the employee at the clock and will appear automatically in the timesheet. That is for certain groups of employees, such as custodians. In this video, we're going to look at 3 different scenarios for recording an activity. The first is an off-site activity without swipes. In this example, it occurs on Monday, January 10th. The employee had an 8-hour staff development off-site. To record that, I enter 8 hours in the raw total column, and then in the activity area, the icon that has the magnifying glass on the piece of paper, I click that, and that shows browse. And from there, I select staff development. Then I click save. So that takes care of that scenario of recording an offsite activity. The next scenario is recording an activity with swipes for the entire day. In this case, on Tuesday, January 11th, the employee had 8 hours of staff development on site. So they went ahead and swiped in and out as normal. Now, to note that this was in fact staff development, in the activity column for that day, again, click the browse, the magnifying glass on the piece of paper icon, select staff development, and then click save. The final scenario is recording an activity with swipes for only part of the day. So in this example, the employee on Wednesday, January 12th, swiped in and out for their normal time for the day. But what happened is, for the second part of the day, the second half, they had staff development. For the first half of the day, it was just their normal work. Now, to note that, click the ellipsis, the 3 periods, to the left of the from column. Select split time allocation. In the activity area, choose staff development, and then select the time to split at in order to make it equal parts both ways, if that's what the scenario is. In this case, I select OK, and there it splits it with staff development in the activity column. You can click save. Now let's say, as an addendum to that scenario, the morning session was when the staff development occurred. Well, in that case, you would say split allocation, but you wouldn't choose an activity. You would select 11 a.m., click OK. It'll create the split, and then from there you can go to the activity column and select staff development, and then select save. How to record time off and view employee accrual balances. Select the timesheet you wish to edit. In this example, the timesheet has no time entry for a scheduled day on Monday, so there is a missed day exception. To enter the time off, click the down arrow in the time off area. You notice when you do that, you'll see recent time offs that you have selected for that employee or possibly other employees as timekeeper. In this example, the type of time off is not in the list, so I'll click Browse. The employee has noted that it was a family illness, so I'll click Family Illness. Before I do that, I'd like to bring you to your attention that there are multiple pages. So there's page 1, page 2, and in some cases you may have page 3. So if you don't see your preferred selection on page 1, click to page 2. Go back to page 1, click Family Illness, and in the raw total column, that's where I enter the time that was taken. Do not enter start times in the from area and end times in the to area for time off. Then click Save. For a partial day, where someone has worked part of the day but needs to take time off for the other part, to add the time off record, click the plus sign. That'll add a row. Then in the time off area, select the time off. In this case, the employee used personal leave. So I select personal leave. It's already in the list that I've recently used. and then enter the number of hours in the raw total area, and click Save. You also notice, and in this example, it's kind of fixing a time card at the end of a timesheet pay period, that the calculated total hours are 80. So you know that the employee is getting paid for their full amount of working hours for the week. To see accrual balances for the employee, click on the employee name. Then scroll down until you see the accruals area. And there you'll see the employee's current accrual balances, which takes into account any leave that they are taking on that particular timesheet pay period. To see accrual balances and comp time balances for a group of employees that you keep time for, you can do so by clicking the Run button next to accrual balances, or for comp time balances, the Run button next to the comp time balance. Please note that as of the time of this video, which is on January 28th, 2022, these two particular reports take about 1 minute to run. Kronos anticipates that in the near future, these reports will run faster. How to cancel or change the length of a lunch break deduction for a particular day. In this example, the employee noted that on Monday, January 10th, they did not take a lunch break. We can see right now that their swipe in time was 7 o'clock, their swipe out time was 3 p.m., gave them 7.5 hours of calculated time, which is a half hour less than normal. But they noted they didn't take a lunch. To cancel their lunch break deduction for that day, in the lunch break column, select the browse icon, click 0, then click Save. Let's look at another example. On Tuesday, January 18th, we see that they swiped in at 7 and swiped out at 4 p.m. So they had 8.5 hours of calculated time. But they noted to you that they needed to take a 60-minute lunch break that day, as opposed to their normal 30-minute. To reflect that fact, click the browse icon and select 60. Then click Save. You'll notice that their calculated total goes to 8 hours. Let's look at the lunch break column one more time and look at the browse selection. These are the only selections available in regards to a lunch break. 0 to cancel, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or 60 minutes. How to convert overtime or time worked on a calamity day to comp time. Time in Kronos can only be converted to comp if it is overtime or time worked on a calamity day. Overtime at the employee's option can be converted to comp time. Overtime is any time worked over 40 hours per week. Leave times such as sick, personal leave, vacation, etc., as well as holidays, do not count towards the 40 hours. Overtime in Kronos jargon can also include time as stipulated in employee contracts or agreements, which is paid at 1.5 times the regular hourly rate of pay. An example of this for some employee groups is time worked on a holiday. There are two key takeaways for this video. You can only convert overtime to comp 1.5 on days on which there is this yellow overtime flag with the red exclamation point next to it. The second key point is you can only convert time worked on a calamity day on days in which there was a calamity day. Attempts to convert time to comp 1.0 on days other than a calamity day will not result in the conversion of that time. The rest of this video is an explanation of those 2 points. So let's take a look at this example. Here we have, for the work week of January 10th, the employee worked 8 hours each of the days, except on Wednesday. They worked 2 hours over their normal schedule. If we look at their summary by day tab, shows that they worked 40 hours for the week, which they were scheduled to work. There were 40 scheduled hours, and then 2 hours of overtime. They worked 42 hours total. Note that Kronos calculates the overtime as when they broke 40 hours for the week, not on the day that they exceeded their schedule by 2 hours, which was on Wednesday. So that's why there's a yellow overtime flag on Friday, not on Wednesday. So we choose in the activity column, convert overtime to comp 1.5, and we click save. We look at the summary by day tab, and we see that the overtime has been converted to comp 1.5, and there are 2 hours in it. So the employee will get 2 hours times 1.5, that is 3 hours added to their comp time balance. Something to always check before converting an employee's overtime to comp 1.5 is to check their accrual balance and to make sure they're not nearing the limit for their comp time balance. So for classified employees, that's 40 hours, a 40-hour limit, classified OPSI employees. And then for classified supervisors, it's 240 hours. So if converting their overtime to comp 1.5 would take them over their limit, then do not make that conversion. Simply let the overtime be paid to the employee. Now, just for the sake of experimentation, to show what it would do, let's back out of this and let's do the common mistake of selecting convert overtime to comp 1.5 on the day that they exceeded their schedule, not on the day they exceeded 40 hours. We'll click save, look at summary by day, and we'll see that it did not work. It did not make the conversion. It allowed us to enter it. It didn't throw up any roadblocks, but it didn't actually make that conversion. So we'll X out of that. We'll do it the correct way, once again, putting it on the overtime, where there was the overtime flag. Click save, summary by day again. We see it's correctly back in there. So the following week, there was a holiday. The employee worked over their scheduled hours for 3 of the days and slightly under for the final day. We look in the summary by day tab. In the regular hours, they were scheduled to work 32 hours that week. It did not include the holiday. They did work that 32 hours, but they also worked 4 hours over. And those 4 hours were accumulated Tuesday through Thursday, slightly deducted on Friday for the slight shortfall on Friday. So they worked their scheduled hours and some. But since they didn't get into overtime status, and since there wasn't a calamity day during that week, then none of that time can be converted to comp time. It's simply paid to the employee. The final example is time worked on a calamity day. Here the employee worked 8 hours a day each day of the week. On Wednesday, there was a calamity day. They worked 8 hours that day as well. Make sure that on the calamity day that you don't select the convert to comp 1.0 on the actual line that has a time off with the calamity pay, but actually on the line that has the time worked. Select that, convert to comp 1.0, click save, and then we look at the summary by day tab, and it's successfully in the Comp 1.0. How to print a timesheet. After selecting the timesheet that you wish to print, click the ellipsis, which is in the top right-hand corner of the timesheet. It's going to be to the right of the areas where you have normally save, approve, or reject. Although those buttons can be in different orders, or some may not even appear depending on the status of the timesheet. Click in those 3 periods, the ellipsis, and there you'll have different selections pop up. Select print, and here you'll have a variety of options you can choose. The options selected here are the ones most commonly chosen. You can also select time off counts, and that will show all the accrual balances as of the current date for that employee. Select print, and the best orientation for this layout is landscape. In this case, since this is a test computer, it doesn't have a printer setup. But normally if you're on a network computer, you just simply select your destination, or it'll be already populated, and then click print, and you're done. How to change a schedule and lunch length in Kronos. To change an employee's schedule, from the main dashboard, click the 3 horizontal lines next to the UKG logo. Next, type in their employee ID, then click on the employee name that appears. From there, click on the Profiles tab, which is written vertically, and scroll down to the bottom where it shows Work Schedule. In this example, the employee wants to change from 8 hours a day of a start time at 7 a.m. and an end time of 3:30 p.m. with a 30-minute lunch to 8 hours a day with a start time of 7:30 a.m., an end time of 4:30 p.m., and a 60-minute lunch. To make that change, click the Browse button, which is the magnifying glass on a piece of paper. You see a number of selections. These are mostly done in sequential order based on the number of hours in a day as a starting point. To see all the rows for all the schedules, click on the page icon. In this case, select the maximum of 200. You'll see all the available schedules. Then scroll down until you see the schedule that the employee has requested and it's been approved by their manager. So in making this change, there's also a change in lunch length. So it went from 30 minutes to 60 minutes. To also reflect that there's been a change in lunch length, there's another area that needs to be addressed. So in their employee profile screen, as you scroll down different areas, and in the cost centers area above the accruals area, you'll see default lunch break. There you can click Browse after clicking the down arrow and select the lunch break that the employee has requested, and that is for the current day and going forward. It's a semi-permanent change. Then click Save. So in the example that we're using, the employee has requested the change at the beginning of the pay period. So they requested it and had it approved back on January 24th, but we're just getting to entering it into Kronos today, which is January 28th. So they've already started working that schedule. So you can see in their calculated total, they're getting 8.5 hours. And that the lunch break is still listed as 30 minutes. Now for the current day, the lunch break, or the schedule, is correct. It shows it as 8 hours. correct start and end time, correct lunch, the lunch break has not yet changed. If we look into the future days, the schedule is correct and the lunch break is correct. So those won't need changed in the future. But how about changing past entries for a timesheet which has not yet been approved? Past schedule entries, that is. Well, to do so, click on the schedule link, and then under Shift Type, click the down arrow, then select the schedule that you'd like, then click Save. You'll notice that doing so, even after clicking Save for the timesheet, doesn't change the calculated total because the lunch break is still listed as 30 minutes. So to do that, click in the lunch break area, select 60, and then Save. And now it changes it to the correct calculated total of 8 hours. In this example, all the days need that change. Simply go through, make that change, even for the current day, so that when the person swipes out, they'll have the correct lunch break length. Click Save, and then correct the remaining schedule entries. Now, after clicking Save, you'll see that for these 4 days, the calculated totals are correct. 8 hours, the lunch break length is what the employee has requested and the manager has approved. And then for future days, the schedule and lunch break length are set going forward based on what we entered in the employee profile. Kronos approvers must approve all timesheets at the end of each pay period. The deadline for timesheet approvals is 11:59 p.m. Monday following a payday. Timesheets are locked for editing or approving on Wednesday morning following a payday. If an approver tries to approve a timesheet after the pay period has been locked for approval, they will get an error message. This video outlines how to approve timesheets after the end of a pay period, which is the normal approval process. For directions on how an approver can approve a timesheet prior to the end of a pay period, which is not the normal process, see the document on the intranet How to Approve Timesheets Prior to the End of a Pay Period. You can see timesheets needing approval in 3 separate spaces after the end of a pay period. One is in the box Timesheets Awaiting My Approval on your dashboard. The second is from the approval report. And the third would be inside, if you clicked inside an employee's timesheet, you would see that the Approve button is there. The first steps before approving are to make sure there are no missed punches or missed days. That way the employee gets their correct amount of time paid. So scroll down to the missing punches area. You'll see that there's the date 1/19/22 of the missed punch. Click on the little pencil icon, take you to the employee's timesheet. And as you scroll down, you'll see for Wednesday, January 19th, there's a light red outline around the missing punch. Say for this, in this example, you found out the employee left at 3:30. Your normal timekeeper is not available to enter this time, so you're doing it. In the reason code area, you select miss swipe because they said that they just forgot to swipe that day. And you click Save. Click UKG logo to go back to the main dashboard. Your next step is to look for missed days. So in the My Saved Reports area, click Missed Days Report. And here you'll see that there, in fact, is a missed day with no time off entered. So click the Open Timesheet icon. And as you scroll down, you'll see that there's a missed day on January 14th. There's a holiday on January 17th, and it's showing that the person is not eligible. The reason why it's listed as not eligible is because there's still a missed day before the holiday. So you find out from the employee that it was 8 hours for personal illness. Browse the second page, select personal illness, click Save, and you'll also notice that after you do that, the holiday non-eligible flag goes away. The final step to take, click the UKG to go back to the main screen, is from either the timesheets awaiting my approval area or the approval report. In this case, I'll look at the approval report. Click the Run button there. The approval report is probably the best way to look at things, because what you can do is you can see the hours by different types of work. It's an easy way of looking at all the information and to see if the number of hours add up to what you would expect to be normal for this employee. Again, you can select their timesheets by clicking the black box, click View, and then you can kind of take another look at those. If you want, you can look at the Summary by Day tabs to get more information, just to see if the hours strike you as reasonable. Once you've done that quick look, things look fine according to what you've looked at. Select the black box, select All is what that does. Click Approve, and then click Approve. You'll see here it says 2 of 2 timesheets have been successfully approved. Now sometimes that will take 20-30 seconds for it to finally go through, but just be patient, it will eventually show up. Another visual way to see if a timesheet has been entered or approved is in the box. If you enter the employee's ID, click Utilities, click All Timesheets, and then select the timesheet that you just approved. In this case, it's for the pay period of 1/8 to 1/22. You can see that it is approved, so it's successful. Now let's look at one last thing. What if you find out that the employee needs to correct something? Actually, not the employee, but the timekeeper needs to correct something because of something that was missed earlier on. Simply click Reject. You'll have to enter a comment. Employee noted that leave time was incorrect. Then click Submit. What that will do is it will put it back in your queue for approval. Then make any correction that's needed. After you make the correction, you'll see that the timesheet is back in your queue for approval. Again, you can click on the timesheet, and from the timesheet itself, you can click Approve. And once again, you see that it's successfully approved.
that concludes the video portion. So all those videos will be available on the intranet, replacing the ones that are there now, probably within the next few weeks. They just have to be worked on to make sure that they're the size that they don't cause problems for the internet. As well as, I know that the person that organized this training is going to make available the recording in some fashion. I don't believe it'll be me that will make that link available, but I know that she'll make that a link available in some form or fashion. Wanted to show you one last thing before we got to your questions. Wanted to show you on reports. I often get questions on reports. So hopefully you can see my UKG screen here. And under your saved reports, you have different ones that are available. There's some reports, most of them have to do with absences. Those are common requests by principals about absences. I'll show you one of these. These are obviously all test employees, not real employees. But what this absence report does is it shows the absences on a rolling 1-year basis. And the name of the report kind of shows the absences that it tracks. So in these, it's specific ones: unpaid, LWOP, AWOL, family illness, personal illness. This is more general. All types of sick leave could include, even bereavement, things like that. And missed days reports would show even vacation, personal days, all that sort of thing. I want to show you something. When you click on these reports, you can modify them in a number of different ways. And then you can save those modifications for yourself. So for instance, if you wanted to see only unexcused unpaid, you could delete the rest of these, including the comma, press unexcused unpaid, and obviously there's no selections that actually have that. If there were, that's what it would show. Let me show you one where it actually shows the results. That way you can see that this works. So let's look at personal illness. So you can save a report and say, I just want to save this, and it's my report, and I'm going to call it personal illness, and then I click save. That'll be available to you as a timekeeper. You can also change the date range. You just click expression, date range, and then you can select, whatever you want. You can select, I just want to see the month of, and then you can only do it for 1 year, like 365 days, or it's 366, it says. So you choose 1/1/22, and I just want to see January, so I say 01/31/2022. Under filter, I can browse and select, and I can select the people that I want to see if I have specific people, and you can get that information. You can filter it by employee by typing in their number and then pressing enter. You don't have to save any of it, but if you choose to, you can save a specific report if you want to keep those parameters. Another report, overtime and extra service. I'm not sure if my test people had a lot of overtime and extra service because I was entering their time. And in this case, they do not. Let's see. Well, let's see. It says this month. Let's look at last month. So again, you can click the date range. If you Calendar range, you have a whole lot of selections you can look at. You can say, let's look at last month. Click apply. So I'm gonna think about it for a minute. Some of these reports may take a little bit. Shows 7 hours of extra service. So it will show those hours. Says you want to save. That's another way of it saying, hey, do you want to save this for future times? Your report. Another one, the accrual balances and comp time balance. I mentioned that. Approval report. And let's look at clock usage. This is kind of a strange report in a way. So it'll actually show, since these employees haven't actually swiped because they're fictional employees just for the purposes of this training. But if they were a real employee, it would show the terminal that they swiped, like the terminal name, it has a device ID, and it would have that information available to you. So you would only be able to see, though, the building that you're at. So you can't, and only for the employees that swipe at the building you're at. So let me amend that. It's only for the employees that you are the timekeeper for, regardless of the building they swipe at. So that's it. But you can't just get employees that swipe at your building that work at another building. So it's just designed to, I guess, for people that want to see that, to say, hey, where did they swipe in on this particular day? Maybe they have a question on, forgot where they swiped in. And primarily for departments, to be honest, more than schools. So that is it with the reports. I see there's some questions. I'm gonna just address a few of those. Power Up, I don't have a lot of good information on that. I would check with the payroll department on the Power Up and acceleration, etc. From what they have told me, that most of it is entered in Munis, but for classified personnel, of course, that's not the case. But when I asked them about it, they said that, you know, people just swipe in and out as normal, and then they report the hours that are Power Up related to somebody in payroll. So unfortunately, I don't have a lot of information on Power Up. Right now, there's no modifications for how you use Kronos in relation to Power Up. So what's the difference between changing the lunchtime to 0 and using cancel lunch? That's a good question. The difference is that cancel lunch will be gone in the near future. So that's that is the main difference. So right now there's absolutely no difference, but in the future that will be the case. Let's see. Printouts will be available. Yeah, the step-by-step guides will also be on the intranet. Should be in the next few weeks. Generally, time worked on a calamity day can be converted to comp 1.0. There could be the oddball case for some people, where they actually get into an overtime status on a calamity day, such as on a Friday. Then just that'd be a little different. Then we'd have to look at that a little differently, because the overtime could be converted to comp 1.5, and then the time that's not overtime can be converted to comp 1.0. If that happens, just email me, because I'll have to show you some ways of getting around that. That's gonna be a little bit strange. Megan Long, excellent. Yeah, Megan will help you. She does a good job. Parent-teacher conference day, yes. There's been beaucoup de instructions sent out on that, so I think that's pretty clear, and that came from labor relations. So let's see what else we have earlier on. So let's see if there's anything else. I think that's it. So I appreciate your time today. And if we'll go through the listing as well. If we missed something somehow on the questions, then we'll try to reach out to you with an answer. Thanks a lot, and best wishes with the rest of your day. Hopefully, for all of you, if you want, I assume you do. Hopefully, you're probably doing your snow dance. So best wishes to you all on that. So you all take care and have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.